Well, welcome to Roundy's Rants, Raves, and Reviews, everyone. We are so lucky to have with us Jennifer Radar today and learn all of her fun things that she includes in her books and her story. And I'm just going to give it away to you to start with. Jennifer, tell us about you and what you do.
Okay, I'm a mom and a wife, and I love what I do. I love my family, and seeing what's prophesied to occur in the last days, and seeing how history repeats. I just wanted to be prepared. Want my family to be prepared, and because I'm one of those moms who never answers the phone when the kids are calling.
Mhm.
Um, Or, they call when I'm in the bathroom. Do you know, last week I had five of them. I went to the bathroom. Nobody's home. Five. Five. Are you kidding me? So, anyway, so
Well,
whenever I don't answer the phone for whatever reason, I wanted things written down for them. We live in rural Nevada, beautiful area, quiet area, and here I work in my garden. I learn things about growing, but mostly I write about food and medical preparedness, herbal medicine and conventional medicine. I've been writing my blog for 7 years. It was 7 years last week.
wow,
And
congratulations.
yeah, and the blog is free for everyone. That's something I've always felt strongly about. The information needs to be free. Now, if you want a hard copy that's nicely organized, table of contents and index, you got to pay for that. But
Right.
or do your own. So,
Go do the research, which she has taken 7 years of doing. I'll
yeah.
buy the book. Thank you.
All right.
That's awesome. So you got started into this for family and everything else. When did you start with your emergency preparedness? I know in my life, I grew up with a garden and my mother, and we had the 72-hour packs. And we always did the whole thing, the year of food storage and the pantry and everything else. Did that start for you before you started in on this journey here, or where did you start in on this journey for you?
So that would have started about 1977, 78, going to church and hearing in talks about the importance of being prepared. I was the only member of the church in my family, and I knew that this was important and what we were being counseled was correct. And so I started gathering cans of food and putting them in boxes in the crawl space of our house. I didn't tell anyone I was doing this. And I knew that when things fell apart, we would be okay because we had two full apple boxes of canned goods.
That would work. Yep.
That was the start. And then later I had teachers at church. I'd ask them to teach me canning. And I did a lot of that. And then after graduating from college, I got really serious and had more friends who taught me how to store wheat and powdered milk, flour and oats and honey and all that. And then it was off to the races. So,
Are you one of those? I remember there was I think it was a singles ward spoof movie where like the mom was making furniture out of all of the
um,
boxes and everything.
yeah, yeah. The kids, yeah, all the beds have food storage under them. That's just the way it is. They don't know
Hey,
any different. So,
hey, anywhere you can put it, right? I mean,
yeah.
and it's not even just for the end times and everything. I've found, I don't know about you, but I've found that there's always been a time or a need in our lives, whether we moved or we had financial struggles, where that food storage became crucial and critical and a blessing, not even waiting till like a crisis of world magnitude happens.
Right. So, I have the titles of some of my food books in there. It's Tiatwaki, which is acronym for the end of the world as we know it. Whether it's catastrophic worldwide or regional, or whether it's catastrophic to the family. My husband has gone through two job losses, actually in the last 5 years. We never had any before that. And, we knew that when he went into mining. That's just common. And they usually treat their employees well and give them generous severance packages, or else they wouldn't have anyone in mining. But it's still hard. And especially as you age and in the IT field, it's a lot harder to find another comparable position. And so our food saved us. We knew no matter what, we had food, and that allowed us to direct the savings to house payments and other needs. And so, yeah. And then as we, what was it this week? Amazon laid off 9% of their force, and AI is coming for a lot of jobs. It's just good. It brings a lot of peace knowing no matter what, you've got food for your family.
Absolutely. And even not even having the storage put away, but being able to make your own food. Because it's great if you
Mhm.
have wheat and stuff, but if you don't know how to use it, if you don't know how to make from what
Right.
you have in your food storage, that doesn't do you any good either to be able to survive on it.
Well, and that's where my kids are. I mean, my daughters and my sons to some extent, but my daughters were really raised in the kitchen. They know how to cook. They know how to follow a recipe. They're absolutely floored when they meet other young adults who cannot, who don't even know how to chop onions. That they come back to me like they're really grateful that I taught them these things, but they don't know how to work with wheat. They never really wanted to learn how to work with powdered milk, even though I make yogurt and cream cheese with it all the time. They didn't
Mhm.
learn. I had to have these things written down for them. And my audience is really those who might have the food, but they have never learned how to work with it.
And I think that's a lot of it. I mean, exactly. My boys, I made them sew, my girls, and cook, and the girls had to learn how to do car repair. They aren't strong enough, half of them, to be able to change a tire, but they know how. Uh,
Uh-huh.
and stuff like that. But my boys on their missions, that they fed their companions in them because they knew how to cook. They could sew their own buttons and things. So having those basic skills, we've got a wheat grinder down there, and my kids are like, "How do you use this?" I said, "Pour it in and turn it on." But if the electricity went, there's a crank on the back. I can stick a tool in and I can hand crank it.
Right.
And I don't know if they'd know or think to do that and
Yeah.
stuff. But
Yeah.
there's a generation of I think that you and I and Zeph, there's a lot of us who were raised in a generation when we did that, and I don't know, even raising our kids, they didn't get it all.
Right. And that's one of the things I don't worry a lot, but I am concerned about that. And that's why I write. It's and it's written to be it's very conversational, very approachable, very easy to understand. So I
What
hope they feel
inspired you to do that? What gave you that, like, I need to write this down and I need to start a blog from doing all this stuff? What gave you that push?
that. I don't like to share that a lot because it sounds weird to some people. My husband wanted me to do this.
Mhm,
I wrote my first book actually about 30 years ago. It was
mhm.
a children's book traditionally published by Doubleday, but then nothing since then. And I was driving my oldest daughter to school to BYUI. It was a 10-hour drive, and I hadn't slept for 2 nights before that. And I
Oh,
had a history of having fallen asleep at the wheel once.
oh
So for
no.
the first time in my life, I stopped at Walmart and I got some caffeine pills. And about 10 minutes after that, it was very crystal clear impression that you need to write a blog. And I was like,
Mhm.
no. And I knew what it was about. I was no. And again, you need to write a blog, and I no. And the third time, it's like, okay, you don't say no 3 times because then you'll be in real big trouble. And so I did. And my reason for not wanting to write is because when you let other people know that you are preparing, then you become their Walmart. They don't want to
Mhm.
prepare, but they will go to you. And I did not want that for my family. But I've accepted this is the way it is. And if this is what Heavenly Father wants us to do, we do it. And we hope things work out the way we would like them to work out. But if not, it was his idea. So
And that's what I keep going with is you told me this. I'm gonna keep doing it, do what I can. I know my
Right.
parents and mine too, my pantry too. If you're having problems, come shopping. And my parents, same thing. Or if they've gone through they because they stock still, even though there's only two of them, they still stock like that, but then they've got to cycle through it. And so they're like, "Hey, Tanya, did you need some of this?" I'm like, "Sure." And they bring it over to me. And then I'm like, "Here, kids, have some of this." Just cycle even through because, after
Right.
5 years, you're like, the canned goods might need to be eaten now. Uh, and do
They
that.
might, and they might still be good. You never know.
You never know. So we try every once in a while to at least get through some of them and keep them going that way and doing. I in fact, funny, my grandmother when she died, she still had bottled peaches that we don't even know. Some of them were still labeled, like from, and this is like 10 years ago, right? They were labeled from like 20 years before that. Perfectly good, just a little mushier. So we made jam out of them and syrup and
Yeah.
pie filling and things like that. But some of them like, are this still good? I'm like, it's not bulging. It's not super
Right.
good.
And that's, I see so much food is thrown away because people don't know how to test whether the food's safe. They just assume that it's 50 years old, so it has to be bad. It might be, honestly, but it might not. So we had a neighbor who she's like late 80s and she's moving and she's done with her food store. She doesn't care about it anymore. And so she wanted us to move it for the animals. That's always good. People are giving it to you for the animals. So it was wheat and beans and powdered milk. And thankfully, there was a lot of sugar in there. So that was worth it. 200
Oh
pounds of
yeah.
sugar. That was good.
Yeah.
But it's like, there's no way that powdered milk is going to be any good. But I had to try it because that's what I do. I test all these crazy things with the blog. And and then we had a Relief Society activity. It's like if I'm going down, I'm bringing people with me. So
Education time.
yes. And so I made a dozen different dishes with powdered milk. We did not like drinking it,
No,
but we don't like drinking it usually anyway.
no.
We didn't like the plain yogurt because it tasted really old. I mean, it was over 50 years old. Stored in her
Oh,
Vegas garage for 30 years and in her barn up here for 25 years. Okay, bad conditions, no mylar, no oxygen absorbers. And all the other dishes, puddings, custards, casseroles, soups, nobody could tell. It tasted just fine. The beans cooked up just fine. I pressure canned
oh
them,
yeah.
which is what I normally do. They were perfect. The
Beans can last
wheat,
forever, I swear. Same with
the
wheat.
wheat I thought would, no, it would, I can't make bread with it. It's
It
like,
had lost its leavening.
I that was surprising to me. I thought of all things the wheat would work. But it's learning these things. It's like being willing to try and know what's safe to try.
When you cook it up and you add some little sugar and turn them into the treats, and stuff, or make crackers, it doesn't have to
Yep.
rise.
Yeah.
Use it however you can. I love that you were not even just that you're using and experimenting and teaching others as you're doing it because it's benefiting everyone while you're doing it. I remember we didn't like milk, powdered milk, any which way either when we were drinking it. So my mother would make a pitcher of it and she would pour it in with half of a gallon of regular milk and
Right.
stretch it. And then we couldn't tell,
Oh, see, some people can still tell. And so my family would not go for that
they
at
wouldn't
all.
taste it.
No. But it makes fabulous yogurt.
Fabulous yogurt,
Oh,
your
good.
cream cheese, and you can cook with it for everything else and use it
Yeah.
that way and then not have to pour your regular milk in and do that too. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
absolutely.
Those so good.
What are some of your favorite recipes or favorite things to do with either food storage or with the things that with your self-reliance stuff you enjoy?
Oh, well, there's hundreds, but my favorites, I mean, my favorite, because I eat the yogurt every day.
Hmm.
It's way better than anything I can get at the store, and I know it's clean. And then I add in the fruit and the chocolate chips and, nuts, whatever, the cream cheese. Okay, I really love no-bake cheesecake, but it just doesn't look so good if I eat that all the time. Um,
I'm calling that a protein thing now because oh, really high
right.
packed protein. I'm figuring that's good for me now, and I'm going with it.
Yeah. our family favorites are probably the tortillas and beans, just
Hmm.
plain refried beans. I'm 1/4 Mexican. That's how I grew up. And so that's what the family loves. Granola. There's all kinds of things. I mean, you can make all of your salad dressings. Sourdough. Oh, sourdough bread. Yeah, that's an everyday thing.
I got my
Uh,
bottle that overflowed overnight, and I'm like, go in and clean it up after
yeah,
I'm done.
yeah, that's not so fun when that happens, but
At least I know it survived. I'm like, at least you're still good.
yeah, it's alive. Yeah,
It's going.
yeah. What else? I don't know. It's just the stuff we eat every day.
I think
Um,
that's the thing too.
Mayo. Oh, hey, you can make mayo from garbanzo bean juice. Did I tell
Garbanzo
you?
bean juice. Okay, I haven't heard
Yeah.
that one.
Okay. So they call it vegan mayo, and anything, I'm sorry to offend the vegan people, but I'll probably do it. Anything vegan, okay, that's already suspect. All right. I don't understand why, if they're so opposed to meat, they want to make things taste like meat. But I can tell you, okay, one thing I did try, that banana peel bacon, that does not work. No,
No,
it was really bad. I couldn't eat. It was bad.
no.
But I thought, okay, I'm gonna try this mayo from garbanzo bean juice. It's fabulous.
Hmm.
The kids, I normally do the blind taste test so they don't know what they're eating, which
Hmm.
scares the bejeebers out of them. But
You never
this
know what
one,
we're getting.
yeah, this one, I let them know. They could see the difference between our regular mayo and the garbanzo bean juice mayo.
Hmm.
Uh, and no one can tell a difference other than in the color. One daughter liked that the garbanzo bean juice, or aquafaba is what it's normally called. Aquafaba mayo was pure white. She liked that. And then the
Hmm.
other one was complaining that she didn't like that it was pure white. She wanted hers to have a tinge of yellow. Give me a
It's
break, people. But anyway, but it was great.
that's
You can use it
awesome.
to make everything you need mayo for, your ranch salad dressing and stuff like that. So
Especially
that's
considering how
fabulous.
expensive mayo's been getting lately. That's a great way to
Oh, I
do
know.
that.
Yeah. Isn't that crazy? So yeah, and you can make Cool Whip with it. Oh, really good chocolate mousse. Yeah. Yeah.
Yes, I'm like, your blog is coming up here later, and I'm going to find some its recipe.
Well, good. Yeah, there's so much good out there. And I think Heavenly Father, He's been trying to get us just to store the food for so long. And people didn't like doing it because it didn't taste good when they tried working with it. But He's blessing so many of us to learn how to work with it and make it taste fabulous for our very refined American palates. You know,
Yeah.
it just blows me away, the knowledge He's blessing us with.
And there is so much out there as far as the knowledge and stuff goes. I remember black bean fudge, and my kids would like, what? Black beans? And again, I taught a Relief Society class this once. It's like, yeah, black bean fudge. And I'm like, talk about really good for you. But especially with all the chemicals and the processing and all the things that we're finding out are so bad for us that we've been taught to eat for so long in our lives,
Exactly.
to cleanse ourselves and to get back to that. How have you noticed the change in your guys' health or ability? I mean, the quality of your life and food and stuff like that because of this change to this type, or not even changed because of this diet that you and using this type of food.
I can't say that I've really noticed much because it has been so gradual for us, just learning to incorporate one thing at a time. What we do notice, all of us, is that we can't eat out. We can't do fast food, especially fast food.
Mm-hmm.
And we can go to a respectable restaurant once in a while, things where they're, making things on site.
Mm-hmm.
Um, can't eat processed food from the grocery store without, just not feeling good. And
Mm-hmm.
I'm not real sensitive like that. Some of my family members are a lot more sensitive. I guess it's a trade-off, but
You know what?
we,
I take
we
the
like
healthy
eating
trade off.
clean. Yeah, we'll take it.
I
Yeah,
find that interesting. A lot of people have found like I remember the that documentary about McDonald's food and how he felt when he was on that food and then when he got off of it. And I don't think we realize how sluggish we are because of all this food.
right.
And you noticing that you got sick going onto it versus because you've just been on this so long.
Yeah, yeah. It's really disturbing when you look at how how many of us of our friends and neighbors are so sick because of what they eat and they don't realize it.
Mhm.
How I mean, there's some young men with terrible diets. They're finding they're sterile. Children who can't pay attention in school because they're ADHD and some of it's coming from diet. Some of it's come from not being able to play outside. That makes me crazy too.
Yeah.
But so much of what we eat is killing us or
Hmm.
making us really sick.
Yeah.
So
Agreed. And a lot of people think it's crazy for thinking that, but now that the science is coming around to it, it's so interesting that all the science is now backing up what a lot of us have known and have been thinking and doing for a very long time.
and to see that, I also write about herbal medicine, but because I'm not a nurse or doctor or professionally trained that way, I document everything. So there can be 5 or 6 footnotes for a source so that you can see, hey, it's not one person making it up or even two, there's people who have done the research and how herbs they work. They don't work as fast usually as the pills, but they work and they're free. And they generally don't have the side effects that
And
are
all the
out
other fillers and chemicals that they add to those.
there. Yeah. Yeah.
I was going to say that was a great transition because I was going to say going into the medicinal part of what you do that way. It's interesting because the herbs and things are what they use to make the synthetics rather than just using the herbs.
That's what big pharma has to do because they can't patent an herb. So they will not research a whole herb. They want to, and they have their, stockholders they're accountable to. They want the one chemical, the active constituent that will do the job, kill the bacteria or kill the virus or relieve the pain or whatever else is going on so that they can patent that and then make their money. Unfortunately, when you do that, you create a lot of other side effects. And that's why we get more sick people.
Sick
Um,
care, not healthcare,
the
yeah, for sure.
the herbs, I'm just floored at how much there is out there. Another weed and the weeds. We don't like the weeds. We have been trained, brainwashed in our country that weeds are bad, weeds are evil. The most invasive weeds tend to be the most medicinal plants. And there was another one I learned about in my backyard. It was driving me crazy because I ordered a plant from a small nursery and this weed came with it, and I was not happy. For the first 2 years, I was successful in keeping it at bay, but this year it just took off and it was everywhere. I finally looked it up what it is. It's like, oh, that's chickweed. Oh, that is really medicinal. And so, I made a tincture and a salve with it and all these weeds, the dyer's woad and tumbleweeds. We hate tumbleweeds. Each one of them has 250,000 seeds and they all germinate
Yes, I
every
do.
year. And it's what the natives here used for treating smallpox.
Hmm.
I mean, just all kinds of dandelion, of course. Everyone knows that dandelion's medicinal and the Europeans, the colonists, when they came, they brought dandelion seeds with them.
They brought them. It wasn't a weed.
They
It was
brought them.
something they brought on
It was
purpose.
important. It was the first greens of spring, highly nutritious, highly medicinal. And yeah, they didn't bring it to torture our green lawns with. They brought it because it was food and medicine. So yeah, that's
Um, it was interesting
interesting.
because I'm thinking about when your son and we were all talking, how he was talking about how sometimes the things we think are not what we want in our world and stuff like this, or things, it's just because we haven't used them right and haven't tamed them the way that we were meant to. And I'm thinking about what you're talking about now with the weeds and things. It's like we've just not been using them properly. It's not that they're not good for us, or and yeah, they might be annoying sometimes.
Right. Well,
We
that
just need to use them right.
and some of these weeds, like dandelion and mallow, they send their roots so deep and then bring up the nutrients, the minerals that are down there that we need to help remediate our poor soils.
Mm-hmm.
Heavenly Father has blessed us with these and we don't recognize it. That's just really, it's interesting to ponder all of that.
Absolutely. Well, tell us about the books that you've been writing recently or putting out recently, because I know that they're coming from, you've got a story behind it. Tell me about these books you've been doing recently.
Um, so the most recent ones, I guess I can show you.
Absolutely.
There's that one. Let me see. So let's see. Well, this one is, can you see that?
Nope, it's glaring. Pull it back
No,
just a little
really.
bit.
Oh,
Pull, pull,
back?
pull, pull, pull. We're almost there. Nope, it just looks glaring. You've got just the right. Seeing the pretty yellow flowers.
Yeah. Well, that's dandelion. Anyway, so this is the Medicine Surrounds Us series that I probably have 6 more to come from it. They're all subsets from Armageddon Pharmacy, which is my big book that came out last year. And when it came out, if I had tested it properly, so let's see if, anyway, you can see the colors
It's
in it.
because you've got it set for blurring your background. I think that's what it's doing. It's
Oh, what if I
just
do
blur.
that? No,
It's
that's
almost there, and then it's catching the glare. But almost there we go. We got the
anyway.
title now.
Anyway,
It's all right.
so so it is and
Oh,
I can
there we
see
go.
part of
Yeah,
that.
there we
Okay,
go. Now
so
we're seeing that.
it's 700 pages, which I thought, I want something comprehensive, right?
Hmm.
And I had customers saying, that's a little big. It's a little overwhelming. So they wanted color pictures, which I avoided because that makes printing with Amazon so expensive because it's like they charge for the whole book being color instead of a few pages. Anyway, I said, okay, I'll try. And I made the smaller books. So Medicine Surrounds Us, all of those are subsets from Armageddon Pharmacy. First one focused on flowers, another on weeds, another on mint family, and there will be others. They all are sourced to peer-reviewed medical journals and renowned herbalists because we have trust issues now, because people might want to do their own research, which I highly recommend. And I have to cover myself with the FDA because these are not just for tummy aches and colds. They're for the things that are making a comeback. We have measles just about everywhere now. We have the largest outbreak of tuberculosis in US history in Kansas right now, and
Sure.
another good one going on in Maine. There's probably
Mhm.
others.
Yep.
Yeah. Pneumonic plague outbreaks in California, influenza, pneumonia. We want to be able to take care of these things. What was it, like a year or two ago that we couldn't get amoxicillin? It
Hmm.
was just the pediatric formulation, but you had a lot of parents and media freaking out. Might want to be able to treat things at home, whether we want antibiotics or antivirals, whether they need to be localized or systemic. We want to know exactly how to prepare the herbs, whether they need a water, alcohol, or oil extract, whether they should be fresh or dried. All these things we need to know. I wanted my kids to be able to start with the plant and take it to the medicine and know exactly what they needed for whatever condition they're treating. So that's what I do with the herbal medicine books.
That's
And then I
awesome.
keep learning because there's always more to learn. You know?
Which is even better.
Yeah, well, there's like, I think one of the things that has inspired me, it came from an herb book by Stephen Herod Bunner. And he inspired me that because his writing was very humorous. This is
Hmm.
an herbal reference, which, to me says boring. And it was funny. I mean, the first one I read was so funny. I read it 3 times and it was funny. You can be humorous, okay? But he had a quote in there. It was from the oral teachings of the Cherokee Nation.
Hmm.
And it was what, I've got to paraphrase, but every tree, every shrub, every plant said that they would step up, they would take on some, they would serve as medicine. They would have part of them medicine to help mankind in their need.
Hmm.
And it's like, Heavenly Father has given us these plants. He doesn't put what we need in China or in Europe. He puts it around us. Okay.
Hmm.
And what we have growing here is not what they need. He's a God of order, not a God of chaos. The Cherokee did not have Amazon delivering. They had to work with what they have. I
Hmm.
don't know why they didn't have Amazon, but them's the breaks in life.
And it's beautiful that they didn't, because they were able to make things and do things that we can now benefit from as well, and to get
Yeah.
back to those roots of where we come from and the world that we are blessed with, for sure. Every culture, I love that you brought up China and stuff too. They've got their medicines
Mm-hmm.
and and the things that they can do and treat that, again, are doing such wonderful and miraculous things, but yet, because it's not under whatever regulation and stuff like that, sometimes it's
Right.
down upon, or it's whatever voodoo medicine. I mean, it's just so annoying sometimes. Like, it's been working for thousands of years for a culture, but now all of a sudden it's bad. It doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah, it doesn't. And that's one reason why I have to provide the documentation.
Hmm.
But it's also we just don't do the research here. It's being done in other countries. Fortunately, they have some of the same plants, a lot of the same plants. So that's a blessing to see. Like in Asia, chrysanthemum is used everywhere. It is
Hmm.
super common. We don't use it medicinally here. We don't even, have you heard of chrysanthemum being used here?
Nope.
It's a big one there. Johnny jump ups, cute little flowers. I love them. I grew up with them. Nobody uses them medicinally here. No one's heard of it, but they're big in England. It's just there's a there's so much. There's so
Hmm.
much. And it's all around us that Heavenly Father has given us. So
No. And it's true. The Lord has taken care of us and given us what we need if we would just
wake up.
you wake up. I like that.
Yeah.
Wake up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's not to, I don't diss conventional medicine. My kids say I do. My daughter, whose husband's in med school, they sometimes get a little offended at times. It's like, guys, I believe in both. My husband's a type 1 diabetic. Okay. There are no herbs that we know of for insulin. Maybe there's something out there. We haven't discovered it yet. We have to have both. Our family personally does. There's no herbs for epinephrine or for
Hmm.
synthroid
Yep.
that we know of. So we got to have both. We have to know how to stop bleeding, how to set
Hmm.
bones.
Agreed. I think Heavenly Father gave us both ends of things, the conventional and the new advances and things like this, but it doesn't mean to get rid of the other end too, especially
Right.
when we have businesses in the greed of men that's marketing off of something that we have free in our backyard.
Yeah,
And that's
exactly. He didn't want us to go bankrupt for medical bills or to sicken ourselves with pills we shouldn't be taking.
but for the things that we can't,
Then
you
we
know,
have that, but
exactly.
it shouldn't be the go-to. I don't know if you saw recently, it was discovered that Tylenol and ibuprofen contribute to antibiotic resistance. Specifically, this study was for Cipro, which is already it wouldn't be your go-to unless you're really sick. It's
Hmm.
because of its side effects. And who tends to be taking a lot of pain meds? It's the elderly.
Those that are getting the
And they're
sickest
more
of,
likely to be on Cipro and just
wow.
contributing to that antibiotic resistance. And it's like, people will get upset and say, well, Big Pharma is doing this on purpose. It's like, no, I think things were just discovered with that recently because we
Hmm.
have been using all those drugs for so long. But doesn't mean we should have been using them. We had other things for pain relief.
And once they
Well,
know
and
it,
in a
we
box.
can fix it, right? I mean, that's I
Yeah,
think, yeah, we were doing this out of the good. We thought we were doing good, but now that we know better,
right.
let's readjust. Let's see what we can do differently and
Yeah.
make different advancements, make different discoveries, and what it's about, right? Best intentions. Well, what is your message that you would like to share with everyone? What is your thing that
Oh.
you really want people to know from what you're doing, from your books, or about what they should be maybe focusing on as they go forward?
So many people say, oh, you're just preaching doom. No, if if we are prepared, we shall not fear. We have to prepare. It's nothing to be afraid of. It brings such peace. I have to wonder if so much anxiety and depression in our community is because people deep down know that something's wrong and things are going to get a little sketchy and they aren't prepared. They aren't prepared to feed their families. It's easy to do. It takes some time, sure. You might have to give up doom scrolling or whatever on Facebook, but it brings such peace to know you can care for your family. And everybody needs food and most people need medicine. Just want them to be prepared. A prepared community is a happy community. I mean, people are like right now they're talking about how the SNAP benefits are going to end on November 1st.
Mm-hmm.
And some in some areas they're worried about what happens then. I live in a very conservative area and rather far out, so I'm not concerned personally. But when no one has food, people lose it.
Mm-hmm.
And if we are prepared, we don't have to be part of that. We can be part of the solution and working together and helping each other. That's what I do. That's what I teach. That's what I hope people will learn. So,
I love it. I absolutely love it. So much, I agree. So much of what our world's going through, the anxiety and the fears, because they don't know or they're not prepared for what they don't know is coming or what could possibly come. And if we just have that preparation spiritually, physically, whatever it is, then we don't have to fear because we've got this. And we always know who's got this as well. If we're
right,
following
right.
that, we're good.
But he expects us to do our part.
He gives us so much to do too, if we would just do it.
Yeah. And he expects us to be prepared to help others.
Hmm.
Um, he, I think he doesn't expect us to be able to take care of everyone else at church who chose not to prepare, who knew they should have.
Yeah.
Anyway,
It's lots of choices and consequences, but I think we'll all be blessed in the end. The feeding of the 5,000 will happen as need be happens sometimes, I think, because
yeah,
we hope.
I hope so. I hope so.
We'll pray for it, right? Because some of these communities I worry
Yeah,
about right now, especially
yeah,
considering, yeah, the news this week and stuff. So, well,
yeah.
where can we find your books? Where can we follow your blog? Where can we support and learn from you as we go through?
Okay, so I forgot to change my name up here. I'm assuming it's showing up on your screen.
Prep School
So,
Daily.
Prep School Daily, all one word for that at how does it go? prepschooldaily.blogspot.com.
Okay.
That's the blog. Everything there is free. There's nothing behind a paywall or anything. And no annoying pop-ups asking for your contact
Information.
information. Yeah. My books are for sale through Amazon. I would love if you would go through my website, which is authorjenniferrader.com. It's a little slow loading and that makes me crazy, but I don't know how to fix that. But anyway, so that's where they are. Yeah, that's me. You can always email me. The contact information's on the blog, and I try to answer within a day. And you can always leave comments on the blog, and I try to get to those within a day too. So if I messed up somewhere and need correction, or if you want, people will put down topics that they would like me to research, I will get around to it someday, sometimes sooner rather than later. And sometimes it takes a little while, but I usually get around to it as long as it's with food storage or medical preparedness.
You've got this. She's become an expert researcher. That's definitely for sure.
I do like researching.
Yeah.
I
It's a
like
great rabbit
reading.
hole to go down. Very fun. Well, thank you guys for joining us, and I hope you'll go and support. Again, buying from an author on their website actually helps support the authors more. So while Amazon is wonderful and you can order from there, going to the authors' websites, buying from them locally and getting from them personally is always more supportive and benefits them the most. So reach out, support, buy, follow the blog, and know that you're loved, everyone. And we'll see you next time on Roundy's Rants, Raves, and Reviews. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Tanya.
Thank you. All right.
So
Everyone, I forgot to ask one of the most important questions. And this is what inspired Jennifer and has influenced her. And so we're going to talk because we started talking about this afterwards and I was going to make another episode, but now I'm just excited because we were talking and now I want to know. So, Jennifer, tell us about what has inspired you and the authors and the literature that have influenced you in your life.
I have a stack of a dozen books here. I don't know if
Yay!
we want to go through that much. That's a lot.
You know what?
But
Let's go with whatever you got
top,
right now. Let's do it. Yeah.
the one on top was Bielski Brothers, and I don't, anyway.
There we go. Got some of it.
So if you can see how Bielski is
Yeah.
spelled. But anyway, and it's about these three brothers who watched their family members be executed by the Nazis. And they decided it's either do or die, right? They're going to fight back. And they wanted to save as many people as they could. So they built this camp in the mountains in Belarusia and saved over 1,000 Jews from the Nazis. And you know, a lot of people when they're talking about their preparedness, well, we don't want the old people. They're going to be a drag. That was not them. They brought everyone and saved them, and everyone had their duties, what they needed to do to contribute to the survival of the camp, while the Bielskis and others went on terrorizing the Nazis. Just an amazing story. And then just the psychology of the people who wouldn't go with the Bielskis. They're in the concentration camp. They had the opportunity to get out and they wouldn't go because they persuaded themselves that the Nazis needed them and that they wouldn't be executed. And I was just like, how can people think that? People need to be prepared. I don't know. That's one I think of. I just think of a lot. And then another one along those same lines, history. This one you ought to be able to read. Paradise. Oh my gosh, this is ridiculous.
Paradise Lost. Oh, I love
Paradise Lost
Oh.
by Giles Milton. Sorry. I don't know if he's related to John Milton, but Paradise Lost. This was the destruction of a Christian city in the Islamic world, Smyrna, in 1922. And they were so prosperous, so incredibly prosperous there in the trade that they were like the trade mecca of the area, trade between Europe and the Islamic world, and how they ignored the looming threat and said, you know, we'll be spared. We're so important. And they couldn't imagine that they would be totally destroyed. And even as it's at their doors, they're oblivious. They're deceiving themselves that bad things wouldn't happen to them.
You see that so much nowadays too. I mean, people are just like, it's not going to happen to us. We're just, you know, we're immune. We're just in this bubble. And then when it does come, we don't recognize it.
Yeah. Yeah. Pax Americana. Oh, there, that one shows
that one
up.
Worked for a minute. There we go. Yeah, Pax Americana. There we go.
Pax Americana. So I don't know if this was this author's doctoral dissertation. she got her PhD, but I think like she put herself through school as a car mechanic.
Wow.
That's what I remember. But anyway, so this is on the great smallpox epidemic of 1775 to 1782 and how it affected the American Revolution and learning about disease. Okay, I've always been fascinated by disease. I don't know. I just don't know why. But these diseases are kind of cool. You learn about them and how they mutate and evolve and how a community can be destroyed. And the Native Americans didn't die because they had no exposure to smallpox, which is true, but that's not why they died. It's because everyone got it at once and there was no one to care for them, to feed them, to clean them.
Hmm.
They, because the whites did survive because there were people who had already had smallpox who were able to care for them. So that's super interesting. And then my other favorite one about plague, I have two actually. So we have the American plague, which
Oh, there's
is,
another. There we go.
oh
American flag.
goodness,
Woohoo!
American plague by Molly Caldwell Crosby. And that is the story of yellow fever and how it shaped our history.
I,
It's, and
fascinating.
these guys are, these two are like page turners. They're amazing. And how panicked people get when they don't know what's, like we saw with COVID.
Absolutely.
People
Yeah.
absolutely losing it because they don't know, because the news, like happened with the Spanish flu, the great influenza, the media is censored. Whether it's the government censoring them or them censoring themselves, they don't want to panic people, which
Hmm.
only creates more panic.
Yep.
And just seeing how, you know, it repeats. They do the same thing again and again. And so it's like, okay, was when COVID happened, it's like, that's lies. They're lying. They're lying. You know, you can pick
Hmm.
out the lies because it's happened before. Super
Well,
interesting.
I love that these are talking about the influence of these diseases on the history and how society changes too. And especially that pox and Americana one, where you're talking about the war and the impact of that, because every major war we've had has actually created the medical advancements that we've seen in a lot of ways. How much of that became emergency medicine and how much of those created the new techniques and the ways. And sadly, it took a war to do it. But without that urgency, we would never have made those advancements because it would never have been a necessity to do
Right.
so. But the
Right.
fact that those influenced, it's like no one ever really talks about how much that, I mean, we look at COVID, yeah, that's influenced history. But what about, we've never talked about the past.
Yeah. This didn't come from a book, at least not a book I have. I'm sure it's in some book somewhere, but there was a Confederate physician, so in the Civil War, who, because their supply lines were cut and he couldn't get medicines, he had to use the herbs and the
Hmm.
herbs that he turned to. And so then there were modern researchers who took these 37 herbs that were his favorites and they tested some of them and it's like, wow, these herbs are antibacterial or they're helping with tissue repair or whatever. And so these herbs probably saved these men's lives, their limbs, but what he was forced to do. And then doctors, when they can't get their supplies, what do they turn to? What are they forced to use?
Hmm.
What expedient measures? You know, one of the great products for putting on a burn, it's actually plastic wrap. If
Okay.
you don't, if, yeah, it's just regular. Actually, they used to have it. I don't know if they still do or if it's because I'm in a tiny town and we don't have it, but the colored plastic wraps that they would
Okay.
bring out at Christmas
Christmas time,
and
right? Yeah.
Easter,
Uh-huh.
because those are heavier for some reason. They're a little bit
Oh.
thicker and they're a little bit better.
Well, you think about that too, because in a burn unit, what do they cover burns with? They cover it with that plastic to save the skin and stuff. So that
But
makes
you
total
can
sense.
use your plastic wrap at home. What's another great product for wounds? like your diabetic leg ulcers that won't heal. It's sugar.
On the wound.
Sugar on the wound. Yeah, not taking it. Yeah, we would love to take it, but
Interesting.
that's not, it's putting sugar on the wound. And they found that it was an African doctor who was doing his residency in the UK, and he ends up in this diabetic rehab unit
Hmm.
where they have all these ulcers on the feet that won't heal. And he's like very puzzled. He's like, "Why aren't you using sugar on these?
Because that's what they use in
That's
Africa.
barbaric. We don't do that." I said, "No, that's what my tribal doctor grandfather used in Africa. That's barbaric." And he persisted and he finally got permission to do this limited
Try it.
trial on those hardcore patients who were going to lose their legs if they did not heal. And they all recovered. One man hadn't walked in a couple of years. And he calls to his wife and he says, "Could you bring me my slippers?" And she's like, "I
All
threw
right.
those out a long time ago."
Time to get some new ones.
Yeah. Um, but Big Pharma, we aren't going to research that in this country because there's no money to be made from it.
How many people could have their limbs saved? How many people are
So
undergoing?
many. And actually that's something we personally had experience with. So my family isn't very obliging. They do not go and injure themselves and get sick so I can test things on them. It's just kind of
Darn them. You're living
kind
too
of
healthy in the first place.
I know this guy's got to step up here, make some sacrifices. But anyway, so my daughters raised Angora rabbits, and one of them got a hair wrapped around his leg like a
Mm-hmm.
tourniquet.
Mm-hmm.
And by the time she found him, he had chewed off all the hair, all the skin. He
Oh.
had a little bit of muscle and his bones left.
Mm.
And my husband and I are like, "We've got to shoot the rabbit." And of course,
Mm-hmm.
she's devastated and dying, teenage girl.
Right. Yes.
And so I said, "Okay, I don't think this is good, but we can try these things." And we start trying a couple things. And I was just like, ugh. And it wasn't infected, gangrene infected. It wasn't that yet, but it was smelling. And I thought, okay, let's try sugar. Let's see what that does. Well, we tried honey first, and it's like, oh, honey and Angora rabbits. That's like a bad idea. Okay.
Yeah.
So we did sugar, and immediately the odor was gone.
Huh.
And that's because sugar is antibacterial. It kills the bacteria. It absorbs the fluid that the bacteria need, and it just kills them. Okay. So we did that. We put the sugar on and then bandaged his leg, and we changed it a couple times a week. He regrew the skin. He regrew some hair. He didn't regrow all of it. We had to keep him bandaged still, even with everything repaired, because rabbit skin is very thin, and he was on a wire cage, and he didn't have the hair there to protect his foot. He lived 2 more years. Is that just amazing?
It is boggling my mind, all these things that we have. And oh man, who would have thought sugar? I wouldn't have. I did
Now,
not know that about sugar. That's crazy.
now,
And it's so cheap and so accessible.
exactly. Heavenly Father gives us these things. So now think about, this is off topic from the book, but it's really cool. So I want to share it. Okay.
Sure,
So
sure.
you remember Chernobyl. You have to
Yes.
remember Chernobyl.
Mm.
And the concern about all those people getting radiation, especially the children, right?
Mm.
What they used and what was so effective in removing the radiation from the children's bodies, pectin.
Like what we use in jams.
Not quite, because what we buy at the store and use in jams is like 35% pectin
Mm-hmm.
and then 65%,
Filler. Yeah, the synthetic
but pure pectin.
from like the skins of vegetables and fruits and things.
Yeah, you can make your own, but you can buy the pure powdered
Pure.
pectin online,
Well,
and it's like amazing.
that is that. Yeah, I mean, again, Heavenly Father has given us
Yeah, all
the
this.
ways in which we can do this.
Yeah.
Dang,
So anyway,
cool. I love
eh,
it. Any other
any
books?
other books. So let's see. Oh, let's go back. Well, it's all World War II. Anyway, Girl in the Green Sweater. It was just a good story. I mean, it's a true story about this
Huh?
girl, her family, who survived living in the sewers, what their family did to survive.
For World War
Uh,
II, they lived in the sewers.
yeah, so they were one of three families in Lvov. I'm not sure I'm pronouncing it right. Lvov. So a city of 100,000 people. They were one of three families who survived intact. They were living in the sewers for a couple of years.
There have been
Yeah.
so many stories coming out about World War II stories, which is so great because so many were lost because they didn't want to talk about it afterwards, or the people died and so they
Yeah.
didn't have them. But
Yeah.
so many of them have been starting to be written, especially right before they're dying and stuff like this. And they're coming out, and you're just amazed at what someone can go through and how they can survive such horrific things and still come
Yeah.
out good on the other side
Yeah.
of it, and the beauty in the world that can come with that. And it just, wow. I'm gonna have
Yeah.
to get that one now. I'm a big read those stories kind of person.
Yeah. No, there's good stories. And then The Great Influenza by John M. Barry. So that one, of course, we're talking about disease, but it's
Mm-hmm.
also going into it's part of World War I history. And what a lot of people don't recognize, and even, it didn't strike me the first time I read it, but it's hit me more this time. Especially as we seem to be on a war path, we're going to get there. It just seems that way. When that happens, all the good nurses and all the good doctors are sucked into the military.
Mm-hmm.
And what are we left with at home?
Mm-hmm.
We are left with older doctors, which actually in this case might be a good thing because
They'll remember some of it. Yeah.
of all the DEI education going on in med schools now.
Yeah.
Whereas back then they took the young doctors, yeah, and all the nurses. And so anyway, so we are left with not much. They will also suck up all the medical supplies.
Just like we saw in COVID, right?
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so that's interesting.
Or
Interesting to
they'll speak out
contemplate.
against it and get canceled.
What's gonna get canceled?
Or doctors that speak out against something and get canceled and
Yeah,
they get proven right years later.
exactly.
So,
Exactly. Yeah. Let's
yeah.
not get started on that. And then
There's a whole nother rant we have.
yeah. And then this one, I don't know if I can Eggs or Anarchy, or is it Eggs or yeah, Eggs or Anarchy. And this was the biography of the Minister of Food
There
for
we go.
Great Britain
Uh-huh.
during World War II. And he was tasked with feeding them and making sure that no one went hungry on an island nation
There was
with the
besieged. Yeah.
Germans there.
Mhm.
Uh, and the battles he had to fight with the government to get people fed, and then the battles with people on the other side, because while they were fed, it wasn't necessarily what they wanted to eat. And, making sure the children and the pregnant women had what they needed. It was just a very fascinating account. And noteworthy was that they were the healthiest they'd ever been because
They
they
were
were
eating
getting
right.
more exercise. They had to walk more, but they were eating whole grains,
Mhm.
far less fat because the fat was needed for ammunition and for the soldiers. So anyway,
Those are awesome
those
books.
are a few of my books. But
I
yeah,
love it. Such great influences. And again, mind blowing to think about the influence and there's of medicine and history and the working together and all those things I
yeah,
hadn't thought of before that way. I mean, I thought about the war part and stuff before tracing the research I've done, but I had never thought about the way that disease itself would be influencing those things and stuff. And you're right. We need to know that because history repeats itself over. And if we don't understand what
Right.
has happened in the past this way, like we didn't with COVID, I mean, people had forgotten all this and forgot everything in their brains when COVID hit
Well, how many people really talk that much about COVID now?
because it's
Everyone
just become
just
a,
wants it to be gone. That's what happened with the great influenza. And it was more because they saw, I guess they were traumatized by all the death around them
yep.
and the lies.
And
And that'll
then we
repeat.
repeated it.
We will repeat it again.
Yeah.
And the misinformation, I see so often, because people go to Facebook now to get their information, right?
Facebook and TikTok, apparently.
And how many times I've seen on Facebook that, tampons make a great bandage or they're great for plugging gunshot wounds. It's like, no, actually, that's not how it works. Tampons absorb blood. They do nothing to stop bleeding.
Right.
And you try to gently or not so gently correct someone on that, and you are labeled the village idiot.
Right.
Guys,
It's
there's this
so,
thing called cavitation, things, it's all
yeah.
messed up inside once they make that hole, once that bullet makes a hole, and the tampon is not stopping any
Yes.
bleeding.
Now get a stick with some fire on it and whoosh, cauterize the inside, maybe. But
Which would probably work just as well. You
right.
know,
Yeah.
maybe better.
Maybe better. We don't know. But apparently everyone will
Yeah.
try whatever at this point. So,
Yeah. There's
oh,
a lot to learn and we can learn it. And that's what I have my other pile of books here, but it's that there are doctors out there who assert that we can learn and be able to care for about 90% of the things that we will face because we're Americans, we go to the ER, right? For everything. 90 to 95% of the stuff we go for, we can take care of at home.
and they're risking putting themselves out of a job because of that. But at the same time, that's what original medicine was, right? And doctors will
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
cover those
Okay.
emergencies. And
Exactly. We can take care of the sniffles and the tummy aches and the bad headaches. We can we can even set bones.
I mean,
And
do a lot.
knowing that, the problem is we don't know that. And it's not that we're idiots. I mean, some of us are. Okay, we see a lot out there, but we can take care of a lot of these things. We just don't know that we can. We need the reassurance, documentation that we can take care of these. If our little children break bones, you just kind of got to get them going straight-ish. That bone will fully heal normally.
Yeah. And we've
I
not
mean,
been given
assuming a long
permission
bone.
to in this society. I think everyone's like, oh, you have to be an expert, you have to have this education rather than just
Yeah.
common sense. And yeah, give that
Yeah.
permission that we can do these things too. This is going to be its own little mini episode. This is so exciting, and thank you for staying on with me a little
Anyway,
longer and doing it because that was exciting conversation, and I'm glad we did that because my mind
so
is
glad. I'm sorry, the books wouldn't show up on the
it's
camera
what it
very
is.
well.
Send me title links and I can
I will.
I can put like the things and stuff in for people and stuff, and that'd be great. And
I'll send you the titles and the authors to make sure, you got
yeah,
everything right there. And
that's incredible.
because
And
they're
then I'm
really
gonna
good
be
reading, really
they're gonna go on
fascinating.
my list. So I'm excited.
Okay.
If anything, I got something out of this for me. So I
I'm
appreciate
so glad. I'm
yeah,
so
it's
glad.
thank you so much,
Okay.
Jennifer. And such a
Thank you,
pleasure.
Tanya.
You have a great night.
All right, you too. We'll do this again.
Yes, we will.
Okay. All
All right.
right. Take
Bye.
care. All
Okay,
right.
bye.
Bye.